Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to this new episode of Spotlight, the show of the Paris Art and Movie Awards, where we talk with actors, producers, distribution companies, filmmakers, people connected to the Paris Art and Movie Awards, people trying to make a mark in the industry today, the independent side of the movie industry. And we are going to talk distribution today. We are going to talk streaming. This is one of the key point that we are trying to explain every year at the Paris Art and Movie Awards. And my guest today to talk about it is going to be the CEO and founder of a platform named Zurb. We're going to have him in a couple of seconds. I just said it, his name. I just said that he was a founder and CEO of Xerb.tv. His name is Eric Streeper, and I'm very happy to talk with you today. Eric, how are you?
Hey, Matt, I'm doing great. Thanks.
Thank you so much for taking the time to discuss with me. We had the chance, you and I, to talk a little bit over the past few months because we are already working together for the Paris Art and Movie Awards. The PAMA has a channel on your platform, and you are one of these people providing solutions and services to the filmmakers and the festivals. So you are providing a platform that serves both sides, which is incredibly cool. Could you present Zurb for those who don't know what it is? What's the purpose of Zurb? What is it?
Sure, definitely, yeah. So something you brought up is really key, which is that we're really focused on collaboration, and so we want to make it really easy for lots of filmmakers to be able to work with organizations, especially like festivals and that kind of thing, that sort of curate the content. And so for us, I mean, really though, the focus is it's really on monetization. It's really on making it so that independent creators and curators have a way to actually monetize their work. I think that's the really key thing that kind of differentiates us from other streaming services. And we want to make sure that every filmmaker has access to the same to those same opportunities.
So basically, you provide a streaming platform, and we have the possibility to create channels. Either we are a film festival and we can create a channel and put content on it, or you are a filmmaker, a content creator, and you can have a channel and put it online. And basically, you also take care of the paywall. Basically, we have a subscription on one side of what we provide at the Paris Art and Movie Awards, and filmmakers can go on Zurb, create content, put it there, and easily have a subscription option so people can see what they do, see what they create, and make a living out of it.
That's exactly right. And when we were starting out, we really decided to look at what were the most profitable forms of distribution. And as it turns out, so like, I mean, for us in particular, ads is not what that is. I mean, so like, I think actually kind of a big part of the inspiration was seeing sort of what was happening on YouTube, where people were getting very, very large audiences, but getting very, very little money for that, just because advertising just pays so little, unfortunately. And so what we really looked at was just, I actually have a background, I have a pretty strange background, but originally my background was actually in finance. And so what I did basically was, I started really kind of analyzing like the film and media industry and looking at what are the biggest sources of revenue. And so paid options is really what that was. And so the goal was, how do we make it so that those options, so like you mentioned subscription, and the other of course that we've been doing a lot of over the last year, especially our virtual events, which are the time limited events. But what we really looked at and saw was that those are the things that actually pay the best, but independent creators don't really have access to those. And so that was what we decided to go after, were those kind of what we saw as the biggest financial opportunities for independent creators.
And you had the chance to see for yourself with the different jobs you had in the past. You saw for yourself how little creators and musicians, for example, earn from what they do. So you wanted to kind of try to offer a solution for that.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And actually my first job out of college, actually, so I had studied finance. And so I started working as a royalty analyst at a business manager, which is basically just like a accounting firm for entertainment. And so and that was the thing. Yeah. I mean, I was really kind of surprised at just like the disconnect between the perception of how well artists were doing financially, and then seeing. I mean, yeah, there are people from I mean, pretty big name people that would be coming into the office to pick up checks because they couldn't wait to get it a few days in the mail and that kind of thing, and so.
Okay.
And so I think it was really like that was definitely what planted the seeds. Was back in those days, seeing sort of that side of the industry and how that worked, and just being really just disappointed. I think in like even if you've made it, you haven't made it. So yeah.
There's always an uncertainty of even when you made it, how long is it gonna last? Everything can stop one day to the next. When did you start Xerb? What was the official date of launching of the app?
So let's see. I mean, I guess we really got the app online. It's been almost 2 years now, and so we had initially started just with a subscription offering. Now we had been, I had been working on it for really a couple of years before that is when I'd kind of gotten serious about working on it and started to talk to a lot of filmmakers and find out what the problems were and really kind of learn more about distribution and how all that worked. But and then we actually got the first product release. Like I guess it's been almost 2 years now, which was just the subscription side at the time. So you could set up a channel and you could have a bunch of different filmmakers could kind of contribute content to your channel, and everyone could split up the revenue that came in from subscribers for that was the original product. Yeah.
And that option still exists because at the Paris Art and Movie Awards, for example, we receive people who wants to be on our channel. Even if it's not our model, we do receive this. So the community works also that way. How many channels do you host on Zurb as of now?
So as of today, we're right at about 170. And that's grown a lot, certainly. Certainly. And I think, to give you some context, I think like a year ago, we were at maybe 15 or 20. So almost all of them have really come in, in the last year for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, did you see a spike of people coming to you and what you provide because of COVID?
That definitely played a big role. I think especially with festivals, I think, because we were in that space already, and the product that we had, it wasn't built, kind of specifically for the needs of festivals, but fortunately, a lot of the building blocks were already in place to be able to do that. So on the technical side, just being able to ingest videos that people upload and make sure they get into all the different formats, and user management and billing and those sorts of things. So a lot of that was in place, but basically what happened was, when the pandemic hit, we definitely saw, people started reaching out to us when we didn't have anything. We didn't have like kind of really like this virtual events product, which is what we ended up releasing. And so just basically in the span of a really, really, really busy month, and it was just, literally, we didn't take a day off like during that whole time, and just kind of and we managed to kind of bring on board this other product, like this virtual events product, which is really meant to mimic the experience that you would get at an in-person festival, but in a way that is adapted to online, which is of course a different medium.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Right now, when the Paris Art and Movie Awards makes a digital event. Let's take, for example, the Hollywood Art and Movie Awards that just happened in the end of January. We had all the films screening in blocks, and then we had the Q&As before or after, and the presentation videos and everything. So we were able, with that festival, to, like you said, to mimic, to kind of recreate a digital, virtual screening process that kind of imitates what we would do in person. But right now, do you have new products that you're going to launch that are going to make it more, I don't know, because we are always looking for something new digitally. So do you have anything in your bag that you're gonna launch soon?
Yes, we several things. So I think one of the big things, especially recently, that we've really put a lot of work into is as you know, the structure of the virtual events it is designed so that you can just like if you walked into a movie theater, like you would and you were at a festival, someone would come up and introduce the movie. And then you would see the screenings, and you might see a Q&A afterwards, and that sort of thing. And so that's what we had in place. But really, we put a lot of focus, especially over the last few weeks, into the social experience as well. And so particularly, actually, just this weekend, we released a pretty big update,
Okay.
which allows the creation of things like filmmaker lounges, or lounges for attendees and that sort of thing, where people can go in and talk to each other, and they're really set up kind of like kind of almost like a forum or something, where but it's private, just the people that are there. And so we did a good test with that with the Santa Fe Film Festival, which actually just ran this last weekend, and it was very successful for the filmmakers, especially. So they set up a filmmaker lounge, and the filmmakers were able to talk back and forth with each other. And if you're not on Zurb at the time, you get notified via email if someone replied to one of your comments, that kind of thing. You can set up profiles, and so we've made definitely a lot of improvements. Just really even I mean, yeah, and this has just been kind of in the last few weeks. So I think that's been a big push for us. The other, we've definitely also, though, another thing we've really been focusing on is kind of more flexible revenue sharing arrangements, where to make it really easy to be able to share revenue with filmmakers, and also to make it so that not only that, but we actually kind of had a pilot program with the Montana Film Festival and Kidamatic that they were really good for sort of pushing us into this, but what they were able to do is basically take the virtual events that they had, and then have theaters and a couple of museums and that sort of thing actually run copies of those as well for their own audiences, and be able to kind of very simple.
You're talking about a film festival that have a digital event running and screenings, and they also are able with Zurb to go in person and screen in real life in museums and select venues that you're working with.
So actually, currently just digitally. So the movie theaters, for instance, were able to have like a digital copy of the virtual events as well, to run for their own audiences. But something that especially over the last several months, something that was a big problem that we saw needed to be solved was kind of making it so that all of the accounting for that and everything is just is completely automated, and is able to to make it so that it really enables these types of revenue sharing arrangements. So where which benefits everybody, because it expands the audience for these online presentations and these online screenings, and it also is a revenue opportunity for these businesses, and of course for the festival and the filmmakers as well.
Yeah. How would you describe the difference, and what makes Zurb different than YouTube or Vimeo, for example? I know it's different. I just want you in your own words to describe it.
Yeah, well, YouTube. So like YouTube in particular, it's quite different. I think one is a big one is definitely the revenue model. But I think another really important one, which is different from both of those. So like YouTube has a social experience. You can make comments in YouTube videos and whatnot. They're notoriously not very nice places, not places you would necessarily want to participate.
And so I think.
Yeah, and so I think, and really, I think a big part of the problem with that is that it is open. It is open to anyone. There's no sort of barrier to watching those videos, and so you get trolls and you get people, and you get that sort of thing. Whereas on Zurb, what you're doing is, you're creating an event that's for a private audience. So it's for just people that are attending that festival, that have a ticket to that particular virtual event, and so. So what we've seen, really, especially around the discussions, is that the quality of those has been phenomenal, because people are you're in a safe space. You're not kind of shouting out to the entire internet. You're talking with 50 or 100 people that are at that festival, and so I think I think that makes a huge difference. And also, I would say too, just the purpose of YouTube is it's certainly to it's to keep you on YouTube, but it's not necessarily to keep you in any particular place. And so, like, as far as for us, I think that the channels really serve as a portal where if you're at the festival, you're at the festival. You're not like it's not like on YouTube where they're trying to pitch you cat videos or something like that, for you to watch or something.
So you have almost 200 channels on Zurb right now, and a lot of them are film festivals. Have you been able to kind of observe the best practices that film festivals need to kind of follow to be successful digitally and provide an experience that makes sense in times of the pandemic and post-pandemic right now?
Definitely, yeah, and that's actually been something that's been really valuable. I think is that it really has created a community, and so I think some of those things. I would say one, I mean, one I would say is making really treating it like it is an in-person event. So making sure that you do have those introductions and those sorts of things, because it really makes it special for somebody. Because what you're competing against is you're competing against someone sitting on their couch and renting something off of iTunes or Amazon or something like that. But the thing that you can provide as a festival is you can provide that experience, that much kind of richer, deeper experience, and you can that really creates connections between people. So that and I would say that like really the big one I think is getting the filmmakers involved. And so if you have the filmmakers actually coming into those discussions, and if you make sure to tell them to participate in those things, it's good for everybody, because the attendees get to actually talk to the people that are making the content they're watching, and for the filmmakers, they also get to have that interaction with their audience, and especially I think especially for the filmmakers, just that ability to set up like those profiles and that kind of thing, where you can put in your social media handles and all of that stuff. I think it's a really good way to really not just kind of not have someone just see your film, I guess, but to really to create a fan, to create someone who you're going to have an ongoing relationship with, which I think is really, really critical for independent filmmakers.
Yeah. When we discussed earlier, I think it was at the end of 2020, you mentioned a few festivals to me. You mentioned the Santa Fe Film Festival, you mentioned the Montana Film Festival, who had good ideas in how using Zurb and video and virtual events and free and not free, and what has to be free, and how can we catch the attention of the viewers. Could you share some of these exchanges we had previously?
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's really and this was so interesting, is that I think we really tried to build something that was very flexible, and so most of the best practices have just come from just seeing people seeing how they've used the platform, really. And yeah, and I think what they've done really well though is really, I think, focus on definitely the customer experience, and I think the filmmaker experience as well on the other side. So making sure that everyone kind of understands what they're getting into, because for most people that are coming to these festivals, this is a new platform for them. It's a new way of consuming of watching these films, and so I think it's really important to get people engaged as early as possible, and on social media and other platforms as well. I think video is really, really useful. I mean, so if you're able to kind of have interviews with filmmakers, let's say, that maybe you do beforehand, before the festival, that you release just on social media and that kind of thing. Those always I think are really, really good, and really helps to get people excited about these types of things. And I think also just for the audience, just making sure that they sort of know what to expect, and they know that if they do have trouble, making sure they know how they can get help and that sort of thing. Like if there's something they can't figure out or anything like that. I think that customer service side of it is really, really critical as well.
So the filmmaker experience, the user's experience in general, to make it relevant to be on the digital platform, and still creating connections between people who attend the event and people who create the event. Do you think in the future, because we went through a situation where we had festivals in person, okay? We sort of had to go digital to find ways to continue doing what we were supposed to do and the missions of the festival. Do you think in the future people are going to go hybrid, or are they going to go back to in-person event, or are they going to stay digital? We have three options, basically. How, from your perspective, having this platform and people using the services you provide, do you have a trend, and what do you see coming?
So I think it's going to be a mix. There may be some that go digital only. I think that most people will have an in-person experience. I mean, there's certainly something to be said for that. I mean, it's not strictly like a replacement for that, I think. Now, I think what's really interesting is a lot of people are definitely talking about hybrid, and I think what's been interesting is that ordinarily when you run a film festival, there's, especially while the festival is going on, there's a lot of logistics, and it's really difficult to kind of do all those things. the nice thing about the virtual festivals is that you can set everything up in advance, and so once everything is set up, I mean, there's certainly work that goes into that, but I think it can be streamlined perhaps a little bit more than can be done in person, where you have to, where you're going out and working with venues and that kind of thing. But once everything is set up on the virtual side, the actual festival itself, I think, is easier, and I do think what's been really interesting is that for a lot of attendees, it's been a really good experience. I mean, I've heard from so many people that are really happy that they have this option, because they couldn't make it either because they just don't live where the festival is going on, or they have children and they have to take care of their kids, and it's really hard for them to drive up and be able to attend these things. And so even in a normal year, I've heard people say that they might have caught 1 or 2 films, but this year they've been able to watch entire festivals, and they really love that. And I think that I think that also for most festivals, the digital experience has been pretty good for them. And so I think I have definitely talked to a lot of festivals that say that they're going to go hybrid. I imagine some will probably just go back to being in person as well. I mean, I think it's it's always going to be a mix, but yeah, I mean, I do think that I definitely think that now that it's like you said, I mean, I think people were really forced into this, but now that I think they've seen the potential, I mean, it's just another source of revenue for festivals, and so I think there's not a lot of reason why you wouldn't do it.
Yeah, absolutely. What is in the future for Zurb? How are you gonna be? Let me put it this way: if you have a lot of festivals that go back to in person, technically you're going to lose clients, you're going to lose users, let's say. So how are you going to adjust to that in the very near future?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a few things really, and I do expect that some festivals I think will just go back to being in person, like I mentioned. Yeah. However, I think that for us, I mean, I think that we're really looking at, I mean, really broadly, our goal is to create revenue opportunities for filmmakers and for creators, and festivals are a really critical part of that. And I think that. I think that festivals that do like stay with the hybrid model, I think they're going to do very, very well. And I think that the audience that's sort of already there, I think they may just end up capturing more of that audience. But I think also for us, I mean, we're definitely also looking at expanding out as well. I mean, I think that we think there's a real opportunity here to really open up distribution to independent filmmakers online. And obviously, people are not going to. People were watching things online before the pandemic, and that was the fastest growing part of the industry, and that's not going to change post pandemic. But so I think I think that there will still be plenty of opportunity, and I think that I think through expansion and I think that it's I mean I think we've been really happy to serve festivals, and I think it's been incredible, and really like they share the same goals that we do, so that I think it's really a perfect partnership. But I mean, certainly I think we're looking to expand far beyond that as well.
I've read an article in the Santa Fe Reporter that you had a while ago, and you say focusing on distribution may sound boring, but it's crucial. It's really the place from which all power is derived in film and media. Could you elaborate a little on that?
Yeah, certainly. So, there's basically, if you don't have power over your own distribution, someone else is always going to be. I mean, if you have to basically deal with gatekeepers and that kind of thing, someone else will always be making the decisions about what you can do and what you can't do. And I think that, especially now, what I see is the real opportunity here is that technology. I think at first it created these companies like it created Netflix, right? Like Netflix had this technology, and they were able to release this content in a certain way, and it's extremely difficult to build that technology. It still is, but I think for us, we essentially want to be able to put those same types of technologies into everyone's hands. However, what I think is another really, really big opportunity here is that I think it's really thinking about what is the user experience? Because if you look at the streaming platforms, they all essentially have the same user experience, and it really hasn't changed since honestly since Netflix came out. And so I think for us, we're looking at, you know, how can we actually enhance that experience and make it so there is that social side of it as well. Like you're able to communicate with the people that are making the content you're watching, and you're able to actually form relationships with them and with other people that are also watching that content. I think that's a really big part of it. And honestly, I think it's just a strictly better experience than what's on the market now. And so for us, if we can create a strictly better experience that is available to all filmmakers, then I think that's going to be something that will be very, very powerful. And I think it'll really unlock distribution, which is the key to monetization. I mean, without having distribution, you just can't get paid for your work. It's just that simple.
It is absolutely. So how do you do? This is going to be my last question. How do you explain to your users the key points that are making Zurb such important? Because basically, there are a lot of platforms you can use to distribute your film. So why would they go to Zurb? And what's you've talked about the user's experience and this kind of stuff. What is, I would say that it's so easy to use Zurb. So for me, that's a big plus. But how would you describe your one big difference that would be the takeaway for the people?
Really, I would say community. I mean, I think it's that ability to not just kind of, you know, like right now we have this perception of what it's like to sit down and watch a streaming service, and it's a very passive, isolated experience. You're on your own. You watch the film. It's over. That's it. You know, and I think on Zurb, that's what's very different, is that's not what it is at all. I mean, it's really about not just watching these films, but really being part of a community that are connected around these films and being connected with the people that are creating those films. I think that's really, really the if I had to boil it down to one thing, I would that's it. You know, it's community.
Okay, very good, very good. Did you have the chance to watch a lot of movies since you launched Zurb? Because you have them all in your computer, I guess.
It's well, not exactly on my computer, but you know,
no.
I have seen quite a few. Definitely not nearly as many as I would want. Unfortunately, I work so much that it's really, really difficult. I mean, I think the good thing is, you know, for us, like there's a lot of shorts, which so I can sneak shorts in kind of more easily. So I haven't been able to catch a lot of short films, which is really cool, because it's really hard to find short films, you know. I mean, it was before, and so like I think that's been something that's been really, really interesting, is being able to see a lot of those, and I've really enjoyed that experience. But definitely, you know, I'm hoping that you know, one day to sort of have more time to be able to view these things. It is hard because, like, I mean, these festivals sometimes go by, and you know, I saw like maybe 2 or 3 things, and I'm like, you know, I had this whole festival play on the platform this weekend. And
it's definitely easier today now to find short films and to watch them, but still, whether it's a short film, a feature film, or a TV show or a series, you need to commit your attention to say, okay, yeah, I'm gonna buy a ticket and I'm gonna subscribe, or I'm gonna do anything I need to do, and I'm gonna watch that film. I want to see this. I want to see that block. And the answer you gave about community makes a lot of sense for me as a festival manager, because we are looking for a connection between the movie makers and the movie viewers. And the digital situation we found ourselves in 2020 made this in a lot of ways easier, and in other ways it showed how much we still need to invent a new experience, to create a new experience. And I think people like you and the services you provide are exactly where we need to go. And the future, I think, holds a lot of surprise. And I'm really looking forward to experience the next features, the new features you have, and the next ones you're going to have after that. Just one last question out of curiosity for me. Did you have the chance to watch anything from the Hollywood Art and Movie Awards or from the Paris Art and Movie Awards channel on Zurb?
Oh my gosh, I saw I did see one of the shorts. It was before the festival. I did see what I'm so sorry I'm blanking, but
you have to, people, you have to know, I never ever give the questions in advance to my guests. So I don't want to trap the guests. So yeah, if you can tell me that later if you want, and I'm going to tell you what movie that was. But okay, cool.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, so like, so sometimes what happens is like, I'll see someone has uploaded a film, and especially if it's like, if I have like, if it's like a 10-minute film or something, I'll just be like, oh, I can sneak that in, and so that's sort of like, that's sort of like the benefit is that it, kind of and also it's good just because I also like to kind of check through the files and make sure that like they play through and whatnot. But yeah, sometimes they do just kind of grab me in. So yeah, so that's a nice part of what I get to do.
It is. Eric, thank you so much for taking the time to be on Spotlight today. I really appreciate it. And I hope we are going to have the chance to talk again. I'm pretty sure we will, because the next step for us is going to be the Paris Art and Movie Awards. We're going to use digital tools, that's for sure. I don't know yet if it's going to be in person or digital or hybrid. We are talking a lot about it. We don't know yet. It's very hard to kind of know what's ahead, but definitely the experience we were able to provide to the users and the filmmakers and the attendees digitally was very interesting. 2020 was one of the biggest festival we had. We didn't know what to expect, and it was very successful. And it was not on Zurb, the 2020 festival. It was on another platform, but the Hollywood Art and Movie Award was on Zurb. And I mean, the experience, the community, the way we are able to make the movies available anytime, anywhere, without geolocation, I think that opens a lot of possibilities for the filmmakers to be seen anywhere, and not just in a 50 to 100 seats venue in Paris or in Los Angeles. And I think as film festivals, that's where we need to go and what we need to work on.
Yeah, well, I just want to say just that I mean, it's to us, I mean, everything that we do is driven by all of you. I mean, it's like, I mean, we can write the software and we can do that, but I mean, I think it's, we have to know what to build, and I think that's and that's all come from working with people, especially people like you, Matt. Like, I mean, you've obviously we've had a lot of really good conversations about what can be done and how things can be made better, and that's really what drives us forward. And so it's I mean, just like I said, Zurb is a collaboration for sure. I mean, and so I think we definitely couldn't. I mean, we obviously couldn't do it without all of you. So I really appreciate getting the opportunity to work with you.
Thank you, Eric. Talk to you soon, and see you next week for the next episode of Spotlight. Bye-bye.